So today we have none other than Michael Twitty. Now first, I gotta start introducing you the way everybody's gonna introduce you now. How many people in the room know what the James Beard Award is? Tell me. Tell me. It's the equivalent to what?
Like a ring.
There you go. It is the highest award that you can receive in the culinary profession, right? The James Beard Award. Michael Twitty is the first, as of a week ago, or was that 2 weeks ago? 2 weeks ago. A week ago was the first African American to win Cookbook of the Year or Book of the Year at the James Beard Award. So this book right here. This book, you've been getting a lot of
that's my preacher copy.
He is the first African American ever in the history of the James Beard Awards to win Book of the Year. In addition to winning Book of the Year, you won Best Writing.
Right.
Overall, which is a huge, huge honor. There's never been another black person to get Book of the Year, and in the history of the Beard Awards, there's only been a handful who received a media award. In addition, I must say, last night they did the Chef's Award. Who follows chefs? Right?
Yeah.
It was a historic night for people of color. You had Eduardo, you had black women, Mashama. How many people here remember when Mashama came here? Some of the old team members. She was nominated, she did not win. Rodney Scott won. So many incredible people, so that's a big deal. And Michael Twitty is totally historic, you know. But Michael Twitty is an independent scholar. He's an interpreter. He is an antebellum chef. And I'm gonna read you a little excerpt of what I wrote about him last year, if I can find it quickly. This is what I said. I said, in a category in all his own, Michael Twitty glows. The independent scholar uses his celebrated blog, Afro-Culinarian, to synthesize food history and cultural debates into lofty essays. His pulpit-style commentary is grounded in the ghost of Atlanta's History Center's smokehouse and by strutting through colonial Williamsburg fields. And in his debut book, The Cooking Gene, he recreates the daily motions of enslaved cooks starting in the 18th century. The result is human stories literally brought to life with period and regalia and a mastery of open fire cooking. But his yesteryear text meets memoir is more than an interpretation of slave life. The Cooking Gene is an uncommon weaving of antebellum accounts and a peek inside the vulnerable layers of his Generation X soul. Michael Twitty, y'all.
I like that one. So you have to understand something. For me to be in a room with this many culinarians of color is a great honor to me. Because I know the awards and stuff sounds very prestigious and very, very cool, very honorable, very dope. But you know something? Nicole can tell you, we've known each other for a long time. It's hard won. It's not just about skill and ability. You have to win people's respect, and you have to, I told her this morning, I said, there's no doubt in my mind that the Book of the Year was a statement about conversations that have been buried. We are always talking among ourselves about how we sick of our stuff being swaggerjacked. In Baltimore now, they want to make a chicken box for $21. A chicken box, a 2-piece, some coleslaw and a biscuit for $20. She's looking at me like, ain't no way. Now y'all can look at me and go, ain't no way, but y'all chopped cheese already got taken. I mean, we run out of stuff. We got collard greens with raisins at Whole Foods. They got gold chicken wings. Y'all see them gold chicken wings? What you gonna do with a gold chicken wing? Lord have mercy. I don't even know what to do. What is going on? We got lobster and waffles. Who the hell ever heard of lobster and waffles? I mean, to me it's crazy because you know, I'm telling you right now, culinary history, writing about food and culture and history, not a lot of us. Not a lot of black and brown people. Not a lot of people of color, period. Chefing, cooking, being on a line, you know, in high-end restaurants or establishments with note. It's still hard. Women in the kitchen still struggling. And then you add on to all of that stuff the fact that everybody's attracted to our seasonings, our culture, our food, but then won't flip it without understanding where we come from. I want to bring this back to a place of complete humility. Complete humility. When I got up and said my piece about winning the war for this book, let me tell you something. The first thing I said was, "Oh, this is great. It's awesome. This is, you know." I was really proud, but I was also really shocked. But I also straight up said, some of y'all in this room said I shouldn't have a voice. Some of y'all in this room said America wasn't ready for me. Oh, I called them out because I knew everybody who said nasty stuff about me would sit in that room right with me, fake clapping. I'm like, no. Own that. Own that. Black folks and brown folks should have a voice. Own that. Take our vote away. Own that. You only want stuff from us is crazy. You know, if I was writing about, you know, Skittles marinated chicken, oh, they'd be all up on me, because that sounds crazy and off the wall and what their perception of the word ghetto is. I don't even buy into that. And I'm just like, But when I want to write about not only our history, but the fact that we have contemporary chefs of color who are inspired by their origins and their history, they didn't want to hear about that. I was like, I'm taking chefs back to Africa. Oh, that's boring. What you mean that's boring? People who have never seen the continent, you know, who are cooking, who want to bridge the gap between Southern and Caribbean cooking and what they're going to see in Ghana. How is that, you know, people from different parts of diaspora, you know, meeting and exchanging notes on where they come from? That is very exciting. Because Africa is an untapped resource. Africa is not sitting in the backyard of humanity. Africa is, you know, a lot of human beings waiting to burst onto the world scene, especially with technology. And I know that's an irony given the fact that a lot of Africa has severe limitations. But you take your ass to Lagos and Accra and Dakar. They got better cell phones than anybody in this room. They got better, tablets and whatnot, because they know where it's at. They know that's the next level. So I'm trying to figure out why our stories, the stories of how we grow up with food, the stories of how we cook with our grandmothers, the stories of how we do us, is so much less important. And so I never let up on that. I never let them say to me, you know, this is not worth telling. Because I wanted to make sure that we got our history in there, we knew where we came from, but also that we knew where we were going. All right? But I remember literally being on the phone with these folks in Manhattan. A couple years ago, I was in North Carolina on the road. My mom had just passed away. And the editor, gatekeeper lady said, with a nervous laugh, America's just not ready for you. This is unmarketable. You ain't gonna do nothing. We just be black. Don't be Jewish, don't be gay, don't be this, don't be that. Just be in this little bubble. Speak to the narrative we tell you to speak to, and we'll get you in the Barnes and Nobles. And I'm like, no. They told me not to wear a kippah in public. Now normally I do wear Jewish head covering in public. Told me not to wear a kippah in public. You know, not to even mention it, I already been kosher soul on Twitter for 2 years by that point. I already had a brand. That brand was me. But I was being told, no, we need to remake you in this bubble because people aren't going to believe. Imagine that. People aren't going to believe that somebody in contemporary America is complicated and multicultural. We done had 500 years to screw each other. Please tell me and play games and gamble and drink together and pray together and march together and fight together and kill each other. Please tell me how an American of color, 500 years after Columbus, isn't complicated. And even more so that the white man that brought him over ain't complicated with it. I got a family tree in the front of this book. Why? Because I want the white folks to know, you are not on the other side of the river. You are my cousins. And as long as you're my family, I'm going to hold you to a different standard. Now, if you don't want to be family, that's cool. That's why God made gutters. Keep you on your side, on me on my other. But if you want to deal with it, we can deal with it and tell the truth to one another. You know, let's just keep it out there. Maybe that's why I didn't win no awards till now, Nicole. Because I don't play. My grandmother taught me, don't lie to white people. She said, that's our biggest problem. We lie to them all, grin and lie to all the time. Tell them what they want to hear. And that's why shit ain't changed. Don't lie to them and look them in the face when you tell them to kiss your ass. Amen. You're like, what? But this could also be, you'd be amazed how many people be like, damn, I know it was like that. So let's have a conversation. It actually, it's the opposite result. It's okay, now I have to respect you because obviously you respect yourself. And the truth is the only thing on the table being served at this restaurant. So let's dig our forks into it. That's not bigotry. That's just, I have something to say. I feel this way. How you feel? Let's just get it out and open. Let's deal with it. That's what I'm about. Okay? That clears the air real fast. But we are, as folks of color, we got to remember a couple things. There is no food on the planet Earth without Asia, the Americas, and Africa. 7/8 of the world's food. 7/8. There is no story about American food without black cooks. Bottom line, we were the cooks in Veracruz, Mexico. We were the cooks in San Juan, Puerto Rico. We're the cooks in New Orleans, the cooks in Boston, the cooks in New York, the cooks in Charleston, Baltimore, Buffalo. We took the ingredients from all over the world in different communities and put them together. James Hemings, who I hope you've heard of, greatest chef ever, walked American soil for 100 years, French trained, a black man from Virginia. Sally Hemings is his brother and the half-brother to Thomas Jefferson's dead wife. Killing it. But not just him. Men and women all over the place killing it. And then now we're at a point where every 5 weeks a new article coming out going, where the black chefs at? Ain't they in this room? Have we always been in this space? Haven't we always been bringing our culture and everything we have to the table? But at what cost? You know, it's not easy to do this because guess what? Y'all know the deal. When we go to school and we get a job, that job is not just for us, it's for the family. We're told if you're going to get a college education or you're going to get a job, you got to take care of not only your own, but the extended family too. And that prevents us from being able to make the dent and the impact. It took me 20 years. I'm the same person with some maturities that I was at 20, 18. I was always fascinated by this stuff. I was always hanging out with my grandparents. I was always like asking my parents a lot of questions. I was always in the kitchen with my mom and my father, barbecuing, other stuff like that. Really getting these things down, causing a lot of trouble because I was hard-headed. But I'm the same person. Difference is that unlike some of our colleagues, they got to go to run off the Peace Corps and explore some stuff or go travel around Europe for a year or two. We didn't have that luxury. People ask me, why you go to Africa so much this year? I said, because I waited 20 years to go. I'm gonna go every weekend. I'm gonna be in Africa. Look, once they give you that yellow fever shot, y'all know what you listen. The yellow fever shot is $300 and it hurt. I'm gonna be in Africa every week. That mess runs out in 9 years and counting. Oh, I'm gonna be there every weekend. Y'all can tell Akon and whoever else, I'll be chilling with them. Cause I'm gonna use that yellow fever shot while I got it. But I'm telling you, all this stuff it burns me how people don't realize that when you walk into that room at IACP, International Association of Culinary Professionals, or you walk into that James Beard, and there's like 600 people in the room, and only 60 are of color, period. And that's not majority black either. I mean, it's crazy. I was counting how many Latin people in the room, how many black folks in the room, how many Asian folks. Native American, an army of one, Sean Sherman, who, by the way, won for the sous chef. And one of the first times that a full-blood Native American won to write a book about his own people in his own country. And we calling that a miracle. Think about that. We have a lot of work to do. And the thing I want to tell you the most is, everybody, all y'all have a story to tell. Our people, whether our people are Caribbean, Latin American, Southern, the story has not all been told yet. Whether it's West African, the story has not been told yet. There are so many facets, so many parts of that knowledge. You know how we are. We get little bits and pieces from our elders. And then 2-3 generations, what happens? It fades. We can't do that anymore. I'm gonna give you 3 challenges. Number 1 is honor your own story, please. One of the biggest things that our European American colleagues have to their advantage is that there's this whole concept of branding and marketing. And it begins, and to us, we're communal, right? We're about family, your crew, your kinfolk. We're not individualistic. So it's very hard for us to talk about us as an individual. But you look at any of these chefs on TV, any of these chefs on the Food Network, any of these chefs that's making money, what do? They tell you, my story is, right? And they have a set narrative. First of all, they've gone into the family pictures, they've gone into the recipes, they've thought about who their parents were, who their grandparents were. In order to do this professionally and make a dent, you have to know who you are and where you come from. You can't skip over that part. You have to honor everything about you. Look, first thing I ever cooked was ramen and hot dogs. But it's always gonna be in my bio. Cause I'm proud I can do more than ramen and hot dogs. But y'all know how it was. That's all who came home from school, or the little frozen pizza. Baby. And when the summertime came, you had that 2-gallon pitcher of Kool-Aid your grandma made with 1 packet, 2 times the sugar, and if you was lucky, a lemon to stretch it. Y'all know what I mean. And that package of 100 frozen ice sticks. I look at that and I go, all those things are kind of crazy on the health, right? But they got us to survival. They gave our lives a little bit of joy. People don't get that. We have to honor those parts of our stories. I remember this one young lady, my mom had just died the night before, and I wasn't even ready for it. I was out of town when she passed away. And I was talking to this college, and this young woman said, I think she was Italian American and Irish, something like that. And she said, well, I really don't have anything that was passed down, but my mom and I make this like ramen, stir fry, something or another thing that we came up with. And I said, well, write it down. I said, if that's the comfort food you have when you go home, write it down. Don't think that you're always going to remember that. You have a smartphone, take the pictures. You know, do that while you have a chance. And honor, think about what your own food journey has been. You need to be able to sell yourself. If you want to ever, anybody y'all want to write a cookbook? Have that in your, okay? You got to be able to tell that story. How many of y'all want a television show? See, that's what I'm talking about. You got to be able to, you have to be able to give credence to why your narrative, why your story is unique. Because you know, they think we all look alike. And they think we all live alike. People literally look at me, I love it. Baby, I love being on the train and the bus. And folk be like, oh, look at that big black oaf coming. He don't know nothing. With his, you can tell I'm a little bit of an Afrocentric queen, right? And I'm walking in there, and they'd be like, rolling their eyes at me. And then somebody come up to me like, oh, Mr. Twitty, and they'd be like, who is this nigga on a horse? And they all turn their head and go, oh, he's a famous one. Whatever does he do? It's funny. The same lady be giving me total shade, then turns around and goes, oh, I didn't know that you were literate. Like, baby, it's past 1865. I hope we can read and write. But back on track. Because y'all have had this situation. You know what I mean. Not me, as I say in Philadelphia, not me. The next thing is gather from your community and your elders and your family. That includes your parents. If you are blessed to have the parents here, you are blessed to have the guardians, the grandparents here, do not wait on ceremony. Get it done. Start with the thing that you want to know the most. If it's a recipe, it's a conversation about your family, do it, don't wait on it. And that means pick up the phone. Start there. Don't just wait to go back to where your family's from. No, don't do that. And you can't do it all at once. You got to do it on a regular basis. This is for your children and your children's children. This is not just for you. This is what a heritage is. We need to defeat that 3-generation loss thing. We need to be able to pass things down. Only way you can do it is if you know it. Okay? So, honor your own story. Know your people's story. And know the food. So when you do the recipe thing and you're in their presence, this is how I want this to work. Follow me now. Now you know that almost everybody in this room, who you learned to cook from originally and who you who was with, how they cook? Did they cook with measurements? No. How they cook? Un poquito, right? Now, this is how you get over that mountain. First of all, you know with elders of any culture, the first thing is, do not go in the kitchen with them with the attitude of, I'm single-mindedly here to get a recipe. That might be your agenda, but their agenda is to have somebody do the dishes, take the trash out, sweep the floor, cut the vegetables. Y'all know what I mean. Right. Go in there with the attitude of, I want the recipe, but I'm gonna have to work to get it. So you do the little bit of cleaning up for whoever, you do that work, right? Okay, cool. And all the while, and don't be like the little millennial anthropologist, run around, show me the next step. You know they hate that. My grandmother, bless her, didn't even want her voice recorded. Right? They don't like that. They be thinking COINTELPRO is on the other side of the phone. And they're probably right. You know, I think there's some agency that Iggy Azalea or somebody holds that tries to steal all black people's ideas. But anyways, I said it. I got 2 James Beard Awards. I can talk all kind of shit now. But look, when you don't look at the face, look at the hands. Study their hands. If you know that the pinch, the whatever is in the hands. And then what I always tell people is the first time, you just background noise. Pay attention, but do the work. And take notes. The second time, go to the store with them. Because you know they have certain ingredients they like, certain things look for. You have to really know a recipe, you gotta know about the ingredients, right? So you gotta know what kind of plantain, what stage is it in. All that stuff matters. What kind of brand or whatever seasoning, right? All that matters. So go to the store with them, carry the groceries, you know, do that part. And then when you get to the recipe, as they're doing the whole everything, just say, can I hold that? Have them put it in your hands. And then distract them. Say some good shit and distract them. But you know what you also should do? Keep your measurement cups in your pocket handy. That's right. So if you're right, then you just go. Okay. Just about. And then eat it with them. And as you're eating, tell them, please tell me about what this means to you. I'm gonna tell you something. What happens, you've had this phenomenon happen to you, that when you sit down with the community and the elders and whatnot, and the parents and the siblings and the cousins, all of a sudden the room starts to fill with the spirits of the people that they used to be around. And it makes them feel happy because what you've done is you've returned their family to them that they've lost. And you know, in our world, in our community, that loss isn't just old folks. It's people we knew from growing up we never thought were going to be gone in our youth. It's happened to me, it's happened to you. And it sucks. And this is why I say we have to grab these memories as we can, as much as we can, and do this. Because the spirits of our kinfolk, our cousins, our ancestors are counting on us. And so when you put that all together, you take your little pictures of the finished food. Here's the last thing. Just know this. I'm just going to be real with you. You can taste it, you can make notes about it, but this is what happened with the generations. Please understand that you can learn the recipe, you can watch them do it, but yours will never be the same. Never. And you have to make your peace with that, because in the same way that you were not the same as them. Genetically, right? You are half. A grandparent, you are a quarter of them. Which means that you are a tiny piece of who came from before them, right? And so you have to think about the food in the same way. You have to remember that you are just another piece of the chain, but it's not, but what's important is not you getting the recipe perfect. What's important is you passing down the heritage and putting your own stamp on it. So that when it's your turn to be the one ignoring the smartphone or whatever they're gonna have, they probably have phones in their eyes by then, contact lenses, you know, some kind of Star Trek nonsense. Then you'll be able to pass the thing on that's uniquely you, that you know will change. You have to be. That's part of that little Lion King Circle of Life nonsense. You know, what? Now, how come they went to Africa? Only thing we get is an animal. We don't get no princess, no prince. Well, now we got Black Panther, but damn it, I wanted a little prince. Well, I wanted a little black boy I could look up to. I don't want no damn lion. You know, I don't want something that can lick itself to look up to. Lord have mercy. Anyway, that's a whole nother discussion about the Lion King, Disney, all that nonsense. But the reality is that's where we are. So that's number 2. Number 3 is educate yourself. Read everything you can. The school is not your alma mater, books are. Malcolm X said that. They asked him, you know, you're so well spoken, you're such an intelligent man. Where'd you go to school? He said, books. In prison. You know, when I first started doing what I was doing, people came for me. I remember this one person came for me at Thomas Jefferson's Monticello. And I would just start to do the heirloom seeds and just start to grow stuff. And she asked me what like genus and species a plant was. And it was a trick question. I knew it was a trick question right then and there, but I didn't know the answer, so I gave the wise man's answer, wise woman's answer, which is what? I don't know. But I got a book and I can look it up. And the condescension and the pettiness that came out of that face, like, why are you even here? So I went home. I said, okay, I'm never going to feel like that ever again. So I went home and I started listing out all the things that black folks in Africa, the Caribbean, in the South ate. Plants, animals, everything. And I started learning every scientific name I could. So that when I got up there on that stage, I could say, and Sus scrofa, the common pig, and Diospyros virginiana, persimmon, and Musa paradisica, the banana. And people don't fuck with me like they used to. Because I became that walking dictionary, walking encyclopedia. Oh, no. No, you didn't tell me, I told you. Anybody can do that. It does not take a PhD. I never finished school. I went to Howard University. I dealt with financial issues. I dealt with a lot of shade from my own people. I was inspired by a different world. I wanted to be hanging out with Dwayne Wayne and Freddie and Whitley and Ron and all them. And I wasn't and no disrespect to my alma mater, I still love Howard and I still love HBCUs, but I'm gonna tell you, there was a lot of shade there. I wasn't the average bougie kid that walked up in there and walked out of there. And I wasn't treated very nice. And I said, I know what I want to learn and study. And they were like, no, we're going to do the old-fashioned route. And I said, I can't do this. So I'm not in front of you. I did my own thing. And it was hard. It took me longer than it would take everybody else. But you know something? I can look back and say, I ain't got no college debt. I can look back and say, I don't owe nobody my existence. I can look back and say, nobody created me. I created myself with the help of God Almighty and my ancestors, who are my board of directors. And that's all there is to it. So I'm going to shut up. If y'all have any questions, that's great. Any dialogue points, that's great. Are we good on time? Okay, awesome. Which is rare for me, because they'd be like, Lord, when is Negro going to shut up? We need our chicken. I'll be like that Southern preacher, be like on verse 3, and it's already 12:30, and y'all thought you're gonna get out an hour ago? That'd be me sometimes.
We have about 15 minutes.
All right, cool, that's perfect. What y'all want to ask or God to say? Trust me, I'm very nice. I'm only mean to our masters. Favorite recipe? Oh, girl, you gonna get me on that one. It depends on the situation. So, if I'm trying to impress you and I really love you, then I'm gonna make you barbecue. Because that, in my family, was always like a 2-3 day deal. It wasn't like, grilling. I learned from my father, I learned from my grandmother, and my grandmother learned from her father. So, the whole process of like marinating the stuff and cooking in a certain way, and the whole thing is like 2 days, 2-3 days. But if I'm for myself, it's red rice or jollof rice. Jollof rice. So jollof rice from West Africa is the grandmama dish to red rice in the South, which is the same thing as Mexican rice. Okay? Because all these rice, they have tomato, onion, pepper. And they're all found where enslaved people went to in the New World from Senegambia, from Senegal. And in Senegal, the rice in the north, they eat it with fish, but in the south it's called benachen. And it's just simply rice cooked with tomatoes and onions and peppers and other good stuff, which became red rice in the south, right? So for me, that's my comfort food, because it's that good. Of course, you put a little bit of, smoked fish or whatever you want in the African version, peas and carrots and chicken and whatnot, whatever you want to do. And the red rice, I prefer to be vegetarian. But that's my comfort food. When I do a dinner, one of the colonial antebellum dinners. And by the way, folks, people slander me on social media all the time, talking about I dress up in slave clothes and serve white people. Nonsense. Nonsense. I think they think that because they see certain pictures. First of all, in most living history sites, I can't even serve people the food from that kitchen because it's not a restaurant kitchen. It's full of mice and bugs and cats and all that kind of nonsense you don't even want to know about. Second of all, if I'm going to cook for people through a restaurant or whatever, I want the audience to be diverse and be mixed because I want the truth to come out. I actually had one woman who just didn't get it, and she said, well, can we not talk about the race and the politics, we just talk about the food? And right, everybody, and there was a collective, the room was like 60-40, 40% white, 60% people of color, and everybody, black and brown in the room went, oh. Collective side, I'm like, girl, did you not hear that collective, oh. That told you right there, you was wrong. So cut it. But when I do those dinners, the thing that I make that I'm most proud of that gets everybody going is called, don't laugh, Kush. So it's really funny when I go to like a middle school and I say that and the kids roar. I'm like, y'all bad kids. But it comes from the word kusha, which is from couscous, Arabic. And it's from, that Senegal to Nigeria belt where people ate grain dishes as like the base dish. So it's stale cornbread. It's like cornbread dressing, but it's not, it's like a hash almost. And it's like herbs and hot peppers and sauteed onion and the stale cornbread all mashed up together. And people eat that nonsense up. And it costs like $2 to make. And like all the things I make in a dinner, and it costs all this money to get the heritage breed this and da. And the thing they love the most, the stale, and it takes $2 to make. That's the strength and the power of our cooking. How are you going to take an old goat and an old this and that and turn it into a multi-billion-dollar industry? People love the cooking of black and brown folk. They love it more than they love us. That's the problem. We got to get those things on the same level. But to me, those are some of the three big recipes I have. And then apple crisp was like the other one. Because my mom, when I was growing up, my mom would put the oatmeal in it. I didn't like that. So I said, Mama, take the oatmeal out of there. So then I started to learn how to make it. And I remember the last Thanksgiving I had with my mom, and I did not know it was going to be the last Thanksgiving. I remember I went to I had a program up in Wisconsin, and I went to the farmer's market, and I got all these apples, different kind of apples. I learned a good trick I want y'all to learn. Like, anytime you make something with apples, find you an apple that's sweet, that's tart, that has better texture but not really a lot of taste. Find your apple is very fragrant. Just take 5 or 6 different types of apples. Don't use just one apple. And throw that in there, people be like, dang, this tastes real good. How you make that? And that's because you mixed them up. Because it's hitting all the different parts of their tongue, and all parts of their brain. So I made the vanilla, I went and got these vanilla beans, did the whole thing. And when that last Thanksgiving, I made this big pan of apple crisp. And my mother, who was tough, my mother was a black tiger mom, trust. My mom was kind of mother who said, we walked out with A-. She says, why'd you let that white kid beat you with an A+? She was for real. And when I cooked, it was no joke. Don't mess with the food, don't do nothing I didn't tell you not to do. And believe me, I done had many a wooden spoon broken on this ass. Trust. So my mother said to me, that was the best apple crisp I ever had. So when she was sick from kidney failure. So when I would bring her like an heirloom tomato that I grew, or I'd make her some barbecue, or I made the apple crisp to have her look at me in the face and go, that was the best I ever had. She was the best cook in my family. The best cook I ever think I ever know in his life. meant the world to me. I will always have that imprinted in my heart and brain that my mother said that to me. So yeah, that's what that's about. How many of y'all grew up with the cabinet full of the spices? Like crammed. And then you go over somebody else's house and they have like 3 things. You'd be like, well, hold up. They might have, hold up. Or watch this though. They have the salt, the pepper, and like 8 things of cinnamon because they keep forgetting they have cinnamon. Right? We ain't got no cinnamon. Let's go buy some more. And it's always like dollar store cinnamon. It's like, what are you doing? Yeah. Okay, career tip. Don't let nobody, look, you better listen, you better label your seasonings with numbers. So when you go out in the world, you do get a little dinner, and you only you know what's in these little jar and cover it up. Don't let nobody look Caribbeans, look Latins, look Africans, look, I'm telling you something, hide your nonsense. Put it all in you get your little spice jar thingy, put numbers on it, only you know which number. Because they be coming asking, what's in this? Don't you say a word. Or I'm telling you, the International Association of Colored Cooks will be on you to assassinate you, giving away our secrets. So I'm telling you, and I make my own spice blends. I make like a hibiscus salt, which is really cool. Other things, things that look pretty, they're just interesting. I need to do more of that because the thing about it is that how I started was doing the living history stuff, which, it's stupid, but it's professional to not have a lot of modern stuff when you do it. The thing about it is it precludes someone else doing it for me. So I need to do more of that. What I'm hoping to do is more things that have video that are demonstrative so that I can actually show people how I do certain things. I'm on YouTube uploaded doing different cooking things with different people. And that's good, but I need to do more of it myself. And part of it is I don't have any patience with process. Because you got to be able to say to somebody who's never done something before, step 1, step 2, step 3, and sometimes we want to be expedient, we want to get it done. So we don't really want to focus on the little minutia that it takes to get to the end of the recipe. So learning how to write a recipe is another thing that you got to learn how to do. It's really important. Yes, sir.
Thank you. And the thing, before I came here, I didn't know a lot of people could relate to it. My mother used to work at 7. She'll work like 6, 7 in the morning. She'll get home like 7, 8, Monday to Friday, and then the weekend she was asleep when I got she would take care of old people. So it was a really nice Jewish day. She was so sweet. So from Friday to Sunday night, she would be out. So there were days that I would see my mom.
Right.
My mom, she is weird. She doesn't like cooking. She never did. My grandma loves cooking. She's so stuff like right. So my mother would get home time. Sometimes we lived on box pizzas and then the little canned sausages. We lived all that, and I'm a kid. I was like, Mommy's tired. But there was this one dish that it was so simple and beautiful for me. I will always love it. And she was making 2 like sausages with baked beans, and white rice, and sweet corn. And then she would make them. I don't know why to this day that is the best meal I ever had. It's weird. A couple weeks ago I made it, and she looked at me and she was like, I wasn't thinking about that. I'm hungry.
Yes.
But I don't feel like cooking something big, so I'm like, I'm doing this with me. So she said,
That's the only way to say it.
that's how I looked. She looked at me and she almost crushed. She was tearing up. She's like, you still like it? What are you talking about? She's like, you remember this? And I didn't remember that she's the one who talked. I'm like, I don't know. I'm just in the mood for this. And she's like, because they used to make it as a kid. I'm like, oh, that's true. And it's, and I don't know why. Every time I think about it, and before we talked about the platinum, we said I almost tear me up because it means it's so small, but it means so much. And I know my mom working so hard. She was
Because that dish is her. That's why. That plate, your plate is your flag. It's your bandera. So it's like that plate is her and her love for you, expressed And the fact that you can do it and pass it on to yours, you get me? Yeah, man, I like that.
Yeah, it's sweet to this day. I always, because I knew she was so tired. Red eyed, and she would go zombie and I would stay up waiting for her to come and do that.
And one last thing about that, before we do the last question, I'm gonna tell you something. I really want you to hear me when I say this. You know, I realized I had a really good cry when I was writing this book because I realized something. I realized that my second tier cousins, my first cousin's children, didn't. I grew up with my grandmother. My grandmother grew up in Jim Crow, Alabama. My grandmother, who was born in 1920s, who walked past stores, watch this. She walked past stores in Birmingham, Alabama that had in the windows of the store jars of the body parts of black men who were lynched. So I had a really good cry one day in public because I realized that my little cousins had no clue about the debts that their grandmother paid to get their asses here. So so when you pass this dish on, I want the future generations to know what you just told all of us about that energy, about her being tired, working hard. You let them know that too. Because I don't think we get it. I don't think we understand. Until we gotta hear that part of the story too. That's why I tell folks, this is not always about how we make the food, it's about how the food makes us. There's a difference. All right, one more. Yes? Oh Lord. Anything, you know what, for me, anything with pastry. And you know what one of the hardest things for me to do is homemade layered biscuits. So any food can put together a biscuit. But a biscuit actually tastes good is a different story. Yeah. See, folk get cute. Folk think they're cute, talking about. And then please don't be one of these people I hate it on the difference between a roll and a biscuit. Look, a biscuit is 20 minutes, a roll is 3-4 hours. Let's don't get it twisted, y'all. But like I make my mom would do this on occasion, and I'm not even relying on what she did. I'm just like cobbling together my own thing, and so I've been learning how to make my own layered biscuits. With not quite like the can that you pop open, but some like halfway between the homemade and the can. And so I've been working with different recipes, and that's hard. I mean, I've been going crazy. I've been, having gluten attacks. Because I be like, you see me, I'm all covered in white, like I'm trying to pass. And I'm like, all flour all over me. And people be like, what is wrong with you? And you remember that, I don't know if you saw that Julia Child movie. Remember when they pissed her off and she had to chop them onions? Her husband walked in the room and said, why is there like 10 feet of onions and you're just chopping? She said, because I have to get it right. That's totally me. And I don't often do that. I tend to make a lot of food. A lot of our food is one dish, one pot, very forgiving. But I'm actually, as I get older, I think one of the things that I want to do more is stuff that challenges me. Pastry is more mathematical, baking is more mathematical. I'm not. But I want to do more of that because, when you do living history demonstrations or do cooking demonstrations, you know who your toughest audience is? Kids. You know this, so, because they just be like, oh, that's boring, I could do that. I'm like, oh, could you? Especially when I'm on these like plantations and nonsense. I'm like, okay, get this little child up in the slave clothes, get him on down that cotton field right fast. Y'all, you gonna haul some water, you gonna cut some wood, you gonna talk some nonsense, talk some trash. Come on, do it. Yeah, that's something. I want to encourage you all. Next year might be a little iffy, but I would like you to stay in touch with me because this is what I'm doing. I'm making, now it's never too late. No, sorry, it's never too early to start a legacy. And one of the things that I did for Nigeria and for Ghana was I brought over folks with me to the continent. So we're doing our second culinary tour of West Africa this year, coming to Benin. And I'm working on getting some folks from Wisconsin, black folks in Wisconsin and California out. So they're gonna go with I'm hoping that Eduardo Jordan will come with us. I've already spoke to him about it. But a lot of other heavy hitters are like, I want Mashama to come, of course. It's amazing how many of us never been to a continent. And the continent is everybody's story from southern Canada south. It's just, people have this mistaken belief that black is just something you find in the middle of the deep south or some island, and it's not. It's everybody's story. That blood is everywhere. That heritage is everywhere. So I am encouraging you to stay in touch with me, because one of the things I want to do is I want to get more of us to the continent, because it is so essential, number one, for us to know our heritage, and number two, for Africans to know that they have cousins in Brazil, in Latin America, in Haiti, in the British Caribbean, in the South, in Canada. It's essential to have that conversation about identity and culture. When we went to Ghana, we got on the ground, and that afternoon we were making food in Accra, in a section of Accra. It's almost like a little village within the city. And they loved it. We were scaling fish and frying fish with them, and making the banku, which is like a cassava starchy thing. We have the gravy and the hot sauce with, and the fried fish. We did every day. We were pulling in nets from the ocean. We learned how to make palm oil. My least favorite, but favorite thing was, okay, y'all ready for this? We made this rat. Child, on the look. I couldn't eat that rat, but they have this. I'm not even joking, and it looks like a groundhog and a New York rat did something they shouldn't have been doing. It's called a cutting grass rat, and they are all over the place. I mean, they go into the rainforest. They set a little trap, because they like to come to your garden and get your stuff, right? They set a little trap. They bring that bad boy in, and he's fighting. Oh, so we didn't see him. We didn't see him live to dead. We saw him dead. Let me just say, this thing was this big. This young man had on his Sunday best. I ain't making this up. He had a fire, right? He had this knife, and he just started scraping that fur off. Came off like nothing. The thing is pitch white. And the next thing you know, he took that knife. You know what I'm about to say? Chitlins fall in the thing. Then they took that thing, washed it up, cut it up, and they put it in some sauce. Cooked it for 20 minutes on one of them little country stoves. And it was like, here. And I was like, oh no. Oh no. Everybody else tore it up. And I felt guilty after, but I was just like, I've let many things pass between me, but I ain't gonna eat no damn rat today. I was like, Pizza Rat's African cousin can stay on in the pie. I said it. But just to be able to see that, and they brought antelopes in and squirrels and all this other nonsense. I mean, just to see that process. So I'm telling you, the thing I want to do is I want to figure out ways to get folks who have never been to get to go. The trip is like $3,400, but I'm not saying y'all be like, wait a minute. Look, I don't care if I have to coach you through GoFundMe. I don't care who I have to beg. I might have to go to Oprah's house, start begging. But my goal is to get folks who have never been to finally go, to make that connection, and we can make it happen. Look, all things are possible with God. So I want y'all to come with me, get your little yellow fever shot, your little malaria pills. All right. After tax season? Well, all right, last note on that. So here's the deal. We have to figure it out, because we've been looking at March and February, because it's dry season. You cannot go to West Africa when it's rainy season. Number one, damn mosquitoes, and number two, the roads turn to fudge. When the country, and you want to go to the country, Because the city is cool. The city is everything. The city ain't no different from here. I'm not, people don't believe me, but it's no different from here. But once you go out the city, you in the country, I'm talking about taking a shower with 2 buckets. The chicken wakes you up in the morning. And we also do naming ceremonies too with the people. So that's a really nice experience. And I'm telling you, when they know what you're there for a purpose, you will feel like you're home. They will know you're home. All right, we're good. Thank you guys.